Hey guys, my name is Divya. I'm a doctor and I've been with the management role with a healthcare company for a while. I've been doing a series of videos on my channel to help everybody out in the community get certified with the exams they're taking. But today I want to branch off into a different series. It's about interviewing tips that I've learned over the last 5 to 6 years after having stayed in India. So, a little bit of background about me, guys. I was not in India for a while. I was outside about 15 to 20 years. I was in the US and then I came back to Bangalore. And I really think that interviewing styles here in Bangalore, in India, are quite a bit different than what we do in the US. And I wanted to talk about what I've seen after conducting tons and tons of interviews at my job. So my job is such that I do take care of operations and a little bit of HR functions too. So with this management role comes a lot of interviews. And I wanted to tell you what works well and what I am thinking when the candidate is telling me something. So I do conduct many interviews and I want to share all my experiences and what I think works really well when you're interviewing. So this will be a series of videos and today is part one. So welcome to part one of interviewing tips. Let's get right into it. Okay guys, so my tip number one, dress well and dress appropriately for the interview. So believe it or not, guys, this sounds really simple, but I think it's a little more in depth than we think about. So in the US, whenever they say dress well for an interview, usually for people like me and ones with professional degrees or we're looking for management roles, they expect us to wear a suit for the interview. A suit where you wear a pant and a coat or a blazer, or a skirt and a coat or a blazer, something that's a three-piece suit and looks really formal and it's pretty much non-negotiable, the suit wearing for an interview in the US. But what I've seen in Bangalore is that this is not really expected and this is not really the norm. So I remember coming back to Bangalore and having my first interview within a month of arriving, and I thought I have to wear a suit for this interview, and I did. And I think I was quite out of place because again, it was not expected. I think that the standard attire for guys is a button-down shirt and a pair of pants, clean, decent, ironed would definitely help because it means that you've dressed appropriately and you're playing your part. And for the girls, I think the same thing. Look around you. If everybody's wearing a kurta, a churidar, or just pant and shirt, feel free to follow the norm and just do what is expected. I think to go way above or way lesser than the norm is something that one doesn't want to do because it's not expected in this kind of a scenario. So these are the two polar opposite things that I saw in the US and in Bangalore, and I really wanted to share that. Dressing appropriately, good clean iron shirts or iron tops I think are important because it makes a good first impression, and first impressions count. They really count in an interview. But I don't think one has to go overboard and wear a suit if you're a programmer or a tester or even holding a management role somewhere in Bangalore. My tip number two, be punctual. This is really important, guys. I get really, really upset when someone is late for an interview and hasn't informed anybody. And I know things happen. I know you can get stuck in really bad traffic in Bangalore, or something came up at your current place of work and you couldn't come. These things happen, but then have the courtesy to call the talent acquisition team or the recruiter to inform them. And if you have, then you can just reschedule your interview, and that makes a lot of sense. So be punctual, be on time, and if you need to reschedule, just reach out and please ensure that you tell them. Because if you don't, that's really, really unprofessional. Tip number three, please ensure that you review your subject matter. If you're a programmer, they're probably going to tell you to write code, so please understand that. Please know that it's okay to ask that at any given point of time, and you should be able to write a code because that's what you're getting hired for. If you're a tester, know your testing skills. If you are in healthcare and they ask you about US healthcare laws, I think that it's good to read up on it, because if you don't, then it just seems like you're a little bit unprepared. Tip number 4, ensure that you can answer what we call the typical interview questions. What do you like best about your job? What do you dislike about your job? Why are you moving on from your current company? These are typical questions that come up in an interview, and I think it's more to strike a conversation than to really dig deep. So ensure that you can answer it, ensure you can strike a conversation and sound convincing. I think that this is really important because it helps the interviewer understand your background and see if you're a good fit. And good fit, believe me, is really important for a team and for an organization. I've seen it time and again that it's the people with the right attitude who survive the longest. And the simple reason for that is a good positive attitude not only takes you a long way with your team, but also ensures you have a good positive attitude towards work. So the two combined, when they come together, can create magic. It's really all here, guys, in your mindset. If you think you can do it, then you really can. Tip number 5. Please ensure that you read up about the company and you're ready to ask questions. So any decent interviewer towards the end or somewhere in the middle of the interview will ask you, what questions do you have? And I think it's a good time to ask about the role. It's a good time to ask about what your responsibilities or your hours would be and what the organization is aiming to achieve. For all these things, you also should have read up about the company, because if you literally don't know what the company does and just went for the interview, I think it gives a very bad impression. I usually ask the candidates, what do you know about our company and why do you want to join? And I think it's an important question. So please ensure you read up about the company, you know what it does, in just a 5-minute brief gist would do. And if you've done that, then the interviewer knows you've done your homework. So this was it, guys, my 5 tips for this particular video, and there will be a series on this since I've done many interviews. I do hope that these videos help you. If they are helping you, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It would keep me motivated. Thank you so much for watching.